Before the dawn of kingship, the Nile was a serpent winding through chaos. Two lands mirrored one another. Upper Egypt, the red cliffs and falcons of the south, and Lower Egypt, the green delta of reeds and serpents. For centuries, the Nile's children warred among themselves, city against city, god against god. Each claimed to be chosen by the divine, each built their own temples to the sun and sky, but none could hold the two lands together. Out of this chaos, legends whispered that one would rise, a child born under the double stars of Suthis, whose destiny was to unite the black land and the red. His name would be Narmer, the scorpion's heir, the first pharaoh of all Egypt. Narmer's mother, Queen Neithhotep, dreamt of him before his birth. She saw a hawk soaring over the Nile, clutching a white crown in one claw and a red crown in the other. When she woke, she named her unborn child after the chisel and the catfish, sacred symbols of creation and endurance. He was born during the season of Akhet, when the Nile floods the fields with life. Priests said the waters rose higher that year, as if greeting a newborn who would command them someday. But even as a child, Narmer was different. While other princes learned hunting and feasting, he wandered the riverbanks speaking to crocodiles and ibis, watching the sun rise and fall with solemn fascination. The people of Nekhen, capital of Upper Egypt, whispered that their young prince carried the gaze of Horus himself. His father, King Ka, a hardened warlord, saw in his son both wonder and danger. Dreamers build nothing, Ka warned him. Dreamers build forever, Narmer answered. When Narmer turned 15, the Red Land burned with war. Lower Egypt, under the serpent banner of King Wash, raided the southern cities. Villages burned, captives were taken north, their hands severed as trophies. King Ka gathered his armies, but betrayal seeped through his court. One night, his generals were poisoned, their wine blackened by the venom of the desert asp. Narmer found his father dying on the throne, eyes glazed in shock. Ka's last breath was a whisper, "Unite them, or perish as I did." Narmer's coronation came on a day of mourning. He wore the white crown of Upper Egypt, tall and sharp as a flame. The people chanted his name, though few believed the boy could survive the wars ahead. He was 17 when he led his first battle. The army marched beneath banners of hawks and suns, drums echoing like thunder over the plains. Narmer rode at the front, face painted with ochre and lime, his eyes ringed in coal. In the chaos of battle, he met King Wash's raiders near the riverbanks. Arrows rained like locusts, shields split, and Narmer's chariot was struck. He fell into the mud, surrounded by enemies. But before the killing blow could land, a hawk descended, a real one, white-feathered and fierce, clawing the eyes of his attacker. Narmer rose, seized a fallen spear, and drove it through the man's throat. That night, victory fires burned from horizon to horizon. The soldiers whispered that Horus himself had descended to protect their pharaoh. Narmer said nothing, he only stared at the stars, knowing this was the beginning, not the end. Peace was not his prize. Every victory revealed deeper fractures. To unite Egypt, Narmer would have to conquer it, not only by sword but by spirit. He began to travel in disguise, walking among the farmers and fishermen of the delta. He listened to their songs and griefs. He learned that the people of Lower Egypt feared the hawks of the south as invaders, not brothers. So Narmer sought symbols that could bridge the divide. He ordered a new standard, the sedge and bee, emblems of both lands entwined. He declared the Nile itself divine, the vein of the world, shared by all. Yet, King Wash would not yield. He mocked Narmer's reforms, calling him a priest, not a ruler. When Narmer sent envoys of peace, Wash sent them back in pieces. The two kings would meet on the field of Dishrei, the Red Sands, in the third year of Narmer's reign. The night before battle, Narmer stood alone on the dunes, wind carving his silhouette in the sand. The moon was a silver blade above him. "If I fall," he whispered to the darkness, "let my bones become the foundation of the two lands." Behind him, the wind hissed, but in it, he heard a voice, deep as the earth itself, "You shall not fall. You shall rise twice, once as man, and once as God." The Battle of Dishrei began with the dawn, thousands on each side, banners snapping like wings. Narmer's army advanced in silence, their spears gleaming like reeds in sunlight. King Wash charged from the north, his chariots slicing through dust. His soldiers wore serpent masks, their armor scaled and green. The clash was a storm. Hours passed. Blood turned the sand black. Narmer's chariot was shattered, his general slain. But when all seemed lost, Narmer did something unthinkable. He dismounted, lifted his fallen banner, and walked forward. Alone, the enemy hesitated. He shouted across the field, voice carrying like thunder, "Lo at Egypt! I offer not chains but unity. Fight me, and you fight the Nile itself." No answer came, only spears. But as the sun reached its height, Nama's warriors rallied, driven by his defiance. The hawk banners surged forward, cutting through serpent lines until they reached the enemy king. Nama leapt onto Washer's chariot. The two kings grappled, one clothed in white, the other in red. The struggle was fierce, until Nama struck him down with a mace carved from limestone. When the dust settled, Nama lifted the red crown from his fallen foe and placed it upon his head. The soldiers of both lands knelt. For the first time in history, one man ruled the two lands. Peace followed, but peace has its own price. Nama returned to Nekhen as a hero, yet he found himself restless. The temples grew, the courtiers flattered, but unity was fragile. Old nobles plotted to reclaim their lost power. Only Queen Neithhotep, his mother, and Lady Merit, his beloved from the Delta, could calm his storm. Merit had once been an enemy's daughter, but her eyes carried the stillness of the river he'd fought for. She saw the man beneath the crown. "Your strength built the kingdom," she told him. "But love must hold it." For a time, Egypt knew golden days. Canals were dug, temples raised, grain overflowed. Nama founded Men-Nefer, the city of the White Walls, later called Memphis, capital of the unified lands. But the gods are jealous of mortal perfection. One night, while sailing the Nile, Merit fell ill. The priests called it the breath of Set, a fever of the dark winds. Within days, she was gone. Nama did not weep. He sealed her tomb with his own hands and withdrew from the world. The Nile's rise that year was the lowest in memory. People said the god of the river mourned with him. Years later, rebellions ignited again in the north, led by those who refused to bow to a god-king. Nama, now older and colder, returned to war. At the field of Papyrus, he faced the rebels. This time, there was no mercy. His armies moved like a tide, relentless and silent. When the last city fell, Nama stood over the delta marshes and declared, "From this day, Egypt is one body, one soul. The Nile is its heart, and I am its pulse." The priests recorded that on that day, a double rainbow arched over the river, one red, one white. They called it the birth of the two lands. Nama ordered a grand ceremonial tablet carved in stone, the Nama palette, depicting his victories and the union of crowns. On it, he appeared twice, once as conqueror, once as deity. It was not arrogance but prophecy. When Nama grew old, he ruled not from a throne but from within the temples of the gods. His eyes saw beyond time. His words were carved into eternity. On his final night, he summoned his scribes and said, "The two lands are one. But unity is not walls, it is memory. When I am gone, let my name be spoken in dawn prayers, and Egypt shall never fall apart." He walked alone to the river where he was born. The moon rose over the waters, silvering his reflection. The current shimmered, and the white hawk returned, perching beside him. At dawn, the people found only his cloak on the riverbank, and in the sand, the imprint of a falcon's wings. The priests declared that Nama had ascended, becoming Horus in the flesh, ruler of eternity. His spirit, they said, rose with the sun, and every pharaoh thereafter bore his legacy, the double crown, the sedge and the bee, the eternal name of King of the Two Lands. Thousands of years would pass. Empires would rise and crumble, sands would swallow temples, and names would fade from stone. But Nama's mark would endure, on every scarab, every wall, every breath of Egypt's wind. He was the first to dream of unity, the first to hold the Nile in his hand and say, "This is not river, this is life." And so the world remembers him, not as a conqueror, but as the dawn itself. The boy of the river who became a god. The first pharaoh, Nama, eternal lord of the two lands.